Welcome to today's presentation. Ken Cross is going to introduce our speaker, and Katie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Deanna. So Katie Carruesco is the Northern California Targeted Outreach Specialist at the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation. That's a mouthful. The DFPI protects California consumers by licensing and regulating a multitude of financial products, services, and individuals. Before starting her career in finance, Katie held various positions with the state government, including 4 gubernatorial appointments. She received her bachelor's degree in communication from California State University, Chico, and Katie will share information on how to protect yourself from investment fraud, common scams, and unscrupulous sales practices. I've known Katie for about almost a decade. She used to come to my transitions class. She's a great speaker. You know, if you think this is relevant, yesterday I got an email from the Geek Squad saying that they were going to renew my $399 personal security. Like, is that an oxymoron? Right? You're getting scammed to be able to give you personal security. So don't call the number on the email, right? I called the Best Buy number, and I went someplace overseas, and I came back again, and they said, no, send us that scam email. I said, okay, very good. So with that, Katie, take it away. Thank you.
Okay, better? 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 Okay. Well, I scrub up nice, right? This is me and my colleague Alex, and obviously Harrison Ford, maybe 20 years ago. And we'll get back to this photo, but I just thought it was interesting and I wanted to show you and give you a little insight into what we're talking about and the world we live in now, besides just celebrity. So again, I'm Katie Carruesco. I work at the DFPI. Hands, has anyone heard of DFPI? Sorry, I'm injured, so I'm kind of hanging on here. Okay, a couple. That's great. We are the financial services regulator of the state of California. We oversee about 500,000 individuals, products, and we license them, regulate them, and I'll give you an example of a few of those. But before that, we were about 10 years ago, we were the Department of Business Oversight, which still the name doesn't really make any sense. Probably haven't heard of that either. That's okay. And before that, we were the Department of Corporations, and that oversaw the sale of securities, precious metals, and franchises. But either way, we've been around over 100 years. We merged with the Department of Financial Institutions, and now we're kind of like this big financial regulator hub. Nope. No. Okay. So here's just a small example of some of the industries that we regulate. We really are the consumer. Basically, as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau kind of loses its power, unfortunately, we are here to at least pick up California's slack. So we really want to help and protect consumers most we can. We oversee state-chartered banks and credit unions, investment advisors, payday lenders, debt collectors, student loan servicers. So if you have a Parent Plus loan for maybe some of your grandkids, we regulate all of those. So the people that you actually pay your money back to. Money transmitters. So whenever you're sending or receiving money, Venmo, PayPal, that type of thing. Western Union, which I don't think too many people use anymore. But I just wanted to explain a little bit about who we are, because most of you use our services of our licensees every single day, yet nobody knows that we exist. You know, we're here to help. We have a toll-free line where someone actually answers the phone, which is rare in government. Right, it's really nice though, and even if you call the wrong place, don't tell them, but they will get you to the right place. So that's nice. You can file a complaint against anyone if you think you've been wronged, if you're not happy with your service, maybe at your bank. That's okay. Let us know about it. If you've been frauded, of course, please come forward and tell us. We want to know. But now we also oversee anything crypto related. So crypto assets and cryptocurrency. I'm not really going to go into crypto too much, but just be careful. It still is the Wild West. So what do we do as the regulator? Well, we go out and examine. We have most of our staff are examiners. We're throughout the state. We have 4 different big offices. Here is the headquarters in Sacramento. But we go out when an examination is kind of like an audit to make sure that they're following the California finance lender laws. We take action. We will post publicly on our social media if anyone is caught wrongdoing or loses the license. If they're trying to sell financial products without a license, happens every day. We really want to be careful and let people know before anyone asks you to invest into something, especially if you get maybe a cold call. Hey, I have this great investment. That should be a red flag. Please contact us to let sure you laugh, but I'm telling you, we get so many people after the fact. That's really why I'm here to help educate before scams happen, because there's only a 4-year statute of limitations on securities fraud, and it takes a really long time to build a case and to shut somebody down. And restitution is very hard to get, and usually doesn't happen at all. So we really want you just to make smart financial decisions, whatever that may be. And in the process, hopefully not get scammed. And we're going to talk about a lot of different ways. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, so let's get to the good stuff. Okay, this very glamorous photo on the left, and then a very unglamorous photo on the right. So this is easy. We've all heard of Chat GPT, right? Everybody has it. It's free. Just a basic version. I have it on my phone. And a couple days ago, I thought I'm going to try and make this a little bit more fun. So I took a photo of me, and there's my buddy Alex. I call him my bodyguard. But this was at Sac State, actually. So I'm looking at old pictures, and this is just one of our tables. We go out to resource fairs and distribute materials all the time. And so I plugged it in ChatGPT and said, make an image of a red carpet with Harrison Ford and make us look glam. That's all I said. And it came up with this in seconds. I mean, I could take a photo of all of you and say, make us snorkeling somewhere in the Great Barrier Reef. And it will. It's amazing. And that's just ChatGPT, just one app. So imagine what scammers can do with voice, with video, with all of these things I don't know how to do, but this is so simple. And I'm not saying AI is bad. I mean, spell check has been around forever. That's kind of AI, right? And we all rely on that, even on text message. I know I do. I do communication, so it can write a press release for me in seconds, and really give great citations. Professors probably hate it. So sorry, Ken, but AI can be very helpful. But if it gets into the wrong hands, it can be very harmful. So glamorous, not so glamorous. So I found this on CNN, and it's an actual article. What happened was, I think it was on CNN I saw. A woman had received a phone call from her daughter saying, Mom, help me, please, you have to help me. These guys have me. They're going to kill me or worse. You have to pay this money right away. Don't go to the police. Pay right away. I think they wanted crypto. So, and this woman had no idea. They get you in a panic. Of course, she was panicking. I can't imagine if I received a phone call like this from either of my kids. She wouldn't call the police. She went to, I think, where they have crypto kiosks now, just at like Walgreens. You can walk in, and instead of, where you used to put all your spare change into those Coinstar machines, well, now Coinstar owns a crypto company, and it's also a crypto ATM. And she was about to put money in, and someone that worked there had stopped her, luckily. Then she went back home. She's frantically trying to find her daughter, calling everyone she can, can't find her. She's not answering her cell phone, and she calls the police. And the first thing they said is, are you sure this isn't a scam? It really sounds like a scam. And this woman said, nope, absolutely not. I know my daughter's voice. It's because they used AI to a soundboard. And, all our kids, grandkids are on social media. They're on TikTok doing these silly dances. They're doing these makeup tutorials, this get ready with me stuff that seems really fun and interesting. And they all want to be famous Instagrammers, but they don't realize that if their accounts are not set to private, anyone could go on and take a snippet of their voice and manipulate it and make it say anything they want. And that's what they did in this scenario. Finally, they found out that the police did get involved. They found her. She was in a training. I think she was in Fresno or something. And, they figured out that it was indeed a scam. But it can be really scary. I mean, this is kind of the new take on the grandparent scam, which we've all either have had that call or know somebody that's had that call. And if you haven't, you will, because it's so common. So we tell people, verify, verify. And yeah, this person did verify, and that's great. But go a step further. Call everyone. When you get that grandparent scam, they are clever. And they'll say, Grandma, Grandpa, help. I'm stuck in, a jail or a different country or in a hospital. I need your help immediately. And they get you so nervous. They want you to take action right away. So just be really careful. And, you could say, well, this doesn't sound like my grandson. And they'll say, oh, no, I work at the jail, or I'm a nurse and I'm in administration in the hospital. They'll come up with these clever things to say to you. So the next time you're in your family group text, kind of just saying hi to everyone or talking to your family or friends, set a password or a passphrase. That way, if you get one of these calls, you could say, oh, yeah, honey, I'm sure I'm going to help you, no problem. But first, I need to know our password, and make sure that your grandkids know it, because this scam happens all the time. All the time. And AI is not going anywhere. It's just getting more sophisticated. Okay. Oh. I've got a lot going on up here. Okay. Ooh, romance. So look at these statistics from the Federal Trade Commission. And I know this is from 2024, but you can imagine how much it's gone up. This money losses in the billions, and that's only from those have actually reported. Most people don't report. If I was caught up in one of these romance scams, I'd be so embarrassed. I don't think I would tell anyone. So, and I'm I'm the younger Karen, I'm out there. Oh God, I'll report anything, but I don't know if I would. I think I might be really embarrassed. And I can imagine most everybody else is too. So there's dating sites. There seems to be something for everyone. There's Match.com. There's Christian Mingle. There's Silver Singles, right? Okay. And I get it. I met my husband on one of these sites 15 years ago, and he seems to be normal, still. But you better believe that I Googled the heck out of him to make sure that he really is who he says he was. And that was a long time ago, before these were even really popular. And I think most people, I'd say under 50, probably use these first and foremost instead of meeting someone maybe a more conventional way, like at a bar or something like that, or here, or, in some sort of social group. So I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying be very careful. And it doesn't even have to be through one of these sites. They could contact you on email, text message, social media. It's so easy. We'll talk about social media in a little bit, but so what happens is somebody, a scammer, will develop a fake profile, and they'll get pictures of someone from somewhere, because, there's a million images of a million different good looking people, right, online, that we want to make this really attractive profile. So we want to go out and meet people. And there's a lot of people that are really want to meet. And, dating sites are good, not just for dating, but it's kind of like a new pen pal almost. It's a way to meet other people. My husband was an attorney in San Francisco. I never would have met him. if it wasn't for one of these things. So you just never know, but you really need to be careful. On an image, if you start talking to someone, you can do a reverse image search. You can look that up if you want. Make Google your friend. You can learn a lot, just especially on AI now. It will almost give you a summary of anything you're looking for, which is really helpful. But you can see where else that image has ever been used online. But you want to make sure that the person is who they say they are. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors out there who just completely lie, and it always comes down to money. So somebody contacts you. It could be weeks, it could be months, it could be years. They start talking, maybe friendly, asking about your friends or family. Maybe it becomes romantic. Maybe you share more information, more photos, whatever it is. And they really want your trust. They tell you things they say they don't tell anybody else. They make the relationship really special. They'll want you to keep it secret. They'll say, don't tell your kids or your friends. They won't understand our love. Let's keep it separate. Or maybe we should move, from one of these dating sites to a text message or something that's not monitored by these sites. So whatever it is, this really can go on and on and on. And they always want to meet you in person, but something always comes up. A flight's canceled. There's a family issue and they can't get away. My mom actually sold a house to a woman in El Dorado Hills, and from one of these, fake dating sites. They were together for over a year and a half. He convinced her to buy their dream home in Serrano, which she did. Never met him, but always had an excuse, told other people that she had, of course. So, or else that would be a big red flag. And he never existed. He just kind of ghosted her, like just completely disappeared one time. So be really careful. Another time, a woman was asked to take out a reverse mortgage on her home and send him the cash because he was in some trouble. And since they were in love, she did it. This happens all the time. Happened to board of supervisors, not going to name them. It happens to everybody and anybody. So be really careful. Next time somebody ever approaches you or you swipe right to like them and you start talking, and then eventually if you think something just seems a little off, seems a little fishy, talk to somebody else. Maybe get their opinion. If they say keep it secret, don't. Make sure that you're telling someone else just to get their opinion. A lot of people ask for, hey, since we're in love, I have this very lucrative investment that I think that will make us so happy and make us both a lot of money. That happens a lot too. We had to actually open a whole new unit, a fraud unit, to deal with just romance scams. Yeah. So it's a big deal. Be really careful online. You never really know who the other person is. This is just an example. Of course, there's Brad Pitt. That does not look like AI. It looks like they kind of did a bad job just sticking his face on somebody. But this woman in France gave him 800,000 euro, right? Because she thought he was helping him, because he had contacted her. I think she was in a fan club or something, and said he needed help because Angelina was taking all his money, right? So you never know. And she's a really good looking, probably smart person. I don't know. But it can really happen to anyone. So be so careful on these types of sites. So if we're not on dating apps, how else do people get a hold of us? It seemed like it used to be kind of by age, but now we all get the phone calls. I get the same phone call from consumer services every single day, about 5 times. Luckily, our spam filters pick those up or lets you know that it's spam, and I think that's so helpful now, but not always. I get weird text messages all day long. We'll look at my phone when I'm done, and it'll probably be like, hey, Bridget, want to go to coffee tomorrow? What? Well, because they want me to say, oh, I'm not Bridget. You're probably looking for the wrong person. And they'll say, sorry, what's your name? Oh, where? Oh, they want you to engage. Don't. If you get a weird random message like that, delete it. And don't just delete it, report it to junk because that actually sends a message to your service provider and lets them know too. But also on the phone, you should never feel threatened or like you have to make a quick decision, a hasty decision. So be really careful about that. And here's a couple examples too. I hope that's easy to see. So I find that using my own phone really helps because then we can all relate. So this is these are screenshots from my phone. How many people got the bridge toll thing? Right. And I had just gone to San Francisco with my glamorous friend Alex. Okay. And I was driving and they don't have someone to take your money anymore. I hadn't been there before the pandemic. I don't remember how things work. And so it just said it'd bill me. I never got a bill. So I got this and thought, oh my gosh, maybe it's not a scam. Maybe it's real. But then I thought, okay, that sounds weird. Over on the West Coast, we're fast track. And, just kind of putting two and two together. And of course, there's a strange link involved. If there's ever a link, please don't click on it. The other one from Xfinity, who doesn't want to save money on Xfinity? Oh my gosh. And this is a voicemail. Probably a lot of people got that too. Well, my in-laws got it in Lodi, and my father-in-law, Joe, fell for it and called them, gave them all his information. Yes, I know. Plus, he has a really old Comcast.net email. If you have one of those, you need to update it. He has a Comcast.net, and so owned by Xfinity. So not only did they get into his bank account, they also got into his email, sent out a message to every single one of his contacts or anyone, not just the people it's anyone you've ever sent an email to in your life from that email account. Okay. This message went out saying he had cancer. And they started a GoFundMe page, although it was something, right, a fake one for people to do that. So it's like double whammy. They didn't even know till somebody came to their house and said, oh my gosh, Sylvia, is Joe okay? I had no idea. And she thought, what? So she let us know, luckily, and then we got the email as well. But it went to our junk folder. But it took all day trying to get into their account because he got locked out of their email. So he couldn't even send something saying, hey, I got hacked. Don't respond to anything. But it took a really long time. Xfinity had received a lot of calls like this, so they were able to help. But it took all day. All day. So again, report to junk if you get one of those. Yeah.
You said that you should update your Xfinity from.
No, I mean, if you have one of those old, I'd say Yahoo, or Hotmail doesn't even exist anymore. I think you can still use your account, but they don't exist. Or a Comcast.net. I'd probably update that maybe to something more current, like a Gmail or something. I'm not endorsing, but just saying maybe something a little bit more current for email. And you can always do a search, what are the best email platforms have the least amount of fraud, and it will let you know. So this is my phone again. Yes, I bank at Wells Fargo, and I do online banking. So a text like this wouldn't be out of the ordinary because I receive text messages from them once in a while and emails from them all the time. But again, look a little bit closer. Well, there's some grammatical errors. And again, there's that weird link at the bottom. Well, I knew this was fake, but I clicked on the link because I wanted to know what it was. Because everyone says, don't click on a link, don't click on a link. Well, I did. And it said, it took me to a different page, had the Wells Fargo logo, looked completely legit. And it asked for all of this personal information that if I have a bank account there, they already have that, but it asked for my social, my routing number, all that stuff that they would have. And then it asked for my mother's maiden name. Right. So I clicked out of that. So be really careful. If you do online banking, that's great, good for you. But if you get something like this, call the number on the back of your card to verify, not just on a number that you find online, definitely not a phone number they give you, or a link. If you get a link and you do click on it and it is a legitimate text from your financial institution, it should always reroute you to their main page where you sign in with your login and password as usual. But I don't think they're even allowed to add links anymore to their text messages. Here's the same example, but just, as an email. First glance, looks legit. Look a bit closer, not so much. Now, if you hover your mouse, don't click on it, but just hover your mouse if you're on a desktop or something, or a laptop, it will pop up in a yellow box on the actual link and tell you what what it actually is. I mean, I use this all the time for work because I work on our website and update it all the time. So when I'm putting information in, when you see the thing that says click here, well, here is actually a link to somewhere else. So you can change the name of a link really easily just on, Microsoft Word or whatever you're using. So you can do that and it will pop up and let you know. And that's just a bunch of gobbledygook. So, you know that it's fake. Also, you can do it on the sender's name way up at the top. If you just hover your mouse, don't click, it will let you know what the actual sender is. But again, if you're not sure, if you get some kind of security alert, call the number on the back of your card. Okay, we all know what to do, but sometimes we forget. If you're at home, use a secure Wi-Fi. I think that's really important. You can get a VPN, which I learned about that here when I spoke the first time. Someone showed me they actually had it was kind of looked like a flash drive that you plug into your device and it worked. Well, now you could just use it over Wi-Fi or put it on your device just digitally, so you don't need something physical. She kept it on her keychain, but that's how I learned about it. I got one. All my family is in England, so I like it because it hides your IP address. So I can watch BBC and ITV and get all my good soaps that you can't get in this country. Okay, just a little perk. And they're really cheap. Think of it as a force field for your network, for your devices. It just adds one more layer of encryption so no one else can get into your devices. It's like LifeLock, but just for a phone, but not for your life, just your phone or whatever you have it on. Yeah. Yeah, you can do either. Just look up VPN. I think Forbes did a good article. I know they get paid to do these articles, but they have a really good article they rated them. So, or your antivirus software, I think they make them too. Norton makes a good one. If you ask me later, I'll tell you the one I use, but I'm not going to publicly claim it. But, it just gives me that little bit more, a little bit more safety, I think, when I'm online. Passwords, make them unique. Not all of these scammers have this unscrambling software. That's expensive. If you're being targeted, they're going to guess the last 4 of your social. They're going to guess birth dates. They're going to name all of this stuff. You'd be so surprised what I could find. And I'm not an expert. I could be, but the expert scammer, right? But just by using Google with your name and, just your name and maybe area, Sacramento or something, I could find out any information about you, your kids, your grandkids, anything. I could easily find out where you live. So just imagine what scammers could do. And keep them somewhere safe. We all have that junk drawer with a notepad in it with all of our passwords. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She lost 2 houses.
Oof.
And what they did, the last thing that they've done is they sent her a check for $500,000 and so she took it to her bank and the bank has lost it.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
And so we have a meeting to go to the IRS in about a week and a half to try to get this solved. But it's been this has been going on forever. Like, you know, she's 94.
Oh gosh, that sounds like a nightmare. Yeah, I can give you some phone numbers later if you want.
Let me just remind everybody to hold your questions until later because you need to use the microphone to ask the question.
I talk a lot and I'll go on way too long. So we've got to stay on schedule, but I will stay around to answer your questions. But again, you know, make your passwords unique. They say for everything you do online, have a different password. Yeah, right. Who can remember all of that? There's so many. There's password managers, which I've heard are great. I don't have one because I keep thinking, well, what if that gets hacked? You know, I think they're heavily encrypted and that probably won't happen. But just in case it does, I'm going to I'm going to rely on that notepad in my junk drawer. But don't keep it in your junk drawer. Maybe put it in a file that says recipes or something like that. Unless you're a really good cook and people want to steal your stuff, your secret sauce, put it somewhere where no one would find it. If on Facebook you're posting, can't wait to go to Hawaii next week, Mai Tai, here I come. Okay, well, that's fun. But now everybody knows that you're going on vacation. And a friend of a friend of a friend can see that. Maybe a friend of a friend of a friend wants to rob your house. They know you're gone. They're not going for your TV. They're going for that junk drawer. They're going for your passwords. So please keep them somewhere very unique. Two-step verification. So important. It's also called multi-factor authentication. And I'll explain what it is. But it's available on anything you do online, all social media, all financial institutions, anywhere you buy anything online, so any store, all email, all internet, any account you have online offers this. You just have to ask for it if it's not already, mandatory that you use it. I think if you're at a financial institution, you have to now. So say that I'm on Amazon and I'm getting ready to check out. We all know what that looks like, right? I'm ready to place my order. So I hit it and it says, we have, enter the 4-digit code sent to, the last 4 digits of whatever phone number. So I have to enter that code before it will let me proceed. So that way, in theory, no one else can get into your accounts without having access to your physical cell phone. I have to do it before I can even log on to my computer in the morning to get on to the state network. So before I have to sit down, and now they took away text message option because I used to just, it said, I log in and it says enter the code sent to your phone. Okay. Well, it used to just send a 4-digit code sent to my phone and I'd get it on my watch. So it's easy, type it in because my phone's plugged in on the other side of the house. Okay. Now it has to call me and it says, this is Microsoft. Press whatever key to move forward for that code. And then it will send a code to you. So it's annoying, but it really does help. I honestly think it would help stop a lot of different fraud. Does that make sense? It has to send you a code before you can move forward. Okay, good. Oh, whoops, wrong way. Sorry. Again, social media. Limit what you're putting out there. Again, you don't want to get your house broken into. You don't want to get your account broken into. Happens on Facebook all the time. My best friend is an FBI agent in the San Francisco office. And she said, why are you still on Facebook? Facebook's for criminals and older people. And I'm like, I use it because everyone's birthday's on there. It reminds me. Okay, just be really careful about what you're putting out there. Again, set your accounts to private. If you're not an influencer making money from all of these products that you're pushing, set it to private. Don't let some random scammer get in. Don't overshare. Don't put where you went. And it was fun when it first got created, right? It was like a reunion. Like, my mom was like, "Oh, I'm going up to Seattle for my 40-year high school reunion." Well, now it's just on Facebook, so it's not as exciting because you already know what everyone's doing. So you don't have to put all of that personal information on there because you never know who can get to it. And remember that when you're using Venmo and all of those types of companies, those are social media. It's set there to be linked to your social media account. So when you're sending money, I use it for everything. My gardener, my hairdresser, my mom runs to Costco for me. Like, grab me some olive oil, here's $12. And I just send her Venmo because it's easy and it's convenient. And I kind of like it because it's an added layer between my bank account and somebody else, right? But you should only really use it with somebody that you're comfortable with. If you're buying something on Facebook Marketplace, cash is king. You do not want to use these with someone that you don't trust or someone that you don't really know. They say clearly that they will not reimburse, or you will not be reimbursed if you are defrauded on one of these companies. If you are, come to us and file a complaint and we'll look into it for you. But still, just be really careful. But what I was saying about those being social media is when you hit pay, make sure on the bottom right-hand side, it gives you the option where if it's public, that means anyone can see it, or your friends, so people that you're friends with, that you've basically what you've paid, who you've paid before, or who has paid you, or you can hit private. Hit private so no one can see your business. No one needs to know that I paid my mom for her Costco run, because she was right there. So just be really careful what you're doing. When you're buying something online, right? We never know who is being hacked. We hear about these companies, Experian, Target, Marriott, all of these big companies that we all use. They get hacked and our information's on there. So the less that you give them, the more scammers can get. When you're buying something on Target or Walmart or something and it says, store this information for next time. Well, yeah, it sounds really easy, but now it's stored on their server. So when they are hacked, or if they are hacked, scammers can get it that much easier. So you really want to not give information. I know it's a pain to have to enter that in all the time, but I think it's a lot safer. Now, this is something really exciting, and we're actually having a webinar about this subject on April 23rd. I'll give you a link to somewhere you can go to find out about the webinar. I'm actually doing it. I'm really excited. And it's called Drop. You might have heard of it. I saw it on the news. But it's just a new department or a new agency that was actually created. And this agency, they're collecting data right now. So they're just looking for people to register. But they're actually going to delete your information from data brokers. Because remember, everything's connected. When you're searching for something, I'm going to Europe with my family in June. So I've been looking up flights and hotels and all of this stuff. Well, now, every time I go online or social media, all I see is ads for it. Everything is connected. Alexa is always looking. Siri is always listening. It's supposed to be just for ads. Who knows? So this is really good. It's one step that California has made to help with consumer protection. But again, that's just legal data brokers. And what data brokers do is sell your information back and forth. And that's legal. Freeze your credit. I have one of these printouts for you. So important. Please do it. I did it 3 years ago. It's amazing. I even receive less junk mail, I think, because of it. It doesn't mean you can't use your credit card. It's not going to make a ding on your credit. It just means no one else can open new credit in your name. This is the reason identities are stolen, right? Freeze your credit. I went out and bought a car. I wanted to get on the electric bandwagon. So I did it. And I'm sitting there in Audi and he says, "Oh, it looks like your credit's frozen." I got, oh gosh, what am I going to do? I drove all the way down here. No problem. It was changed in 5 minutes. So it can, and I have, again, I have one of these for everyone. So don't feel like you have to rush and write anything down. But so important, I think. Please, please freeze your credit. Tell everybody. You do have to go to each bureau, but it's worth it. So trust your instincts. Please be careful. If anyone is rushing you to make a decision, especially about your finances, no. It's like going to the grocery store when you're hungry. It's same with your finances. Take your time. Never be in a rush to make money. That's not how it works. We know that. But sometimes we get sidetracked. You know, never be rushed. Wait 24 hours. It will still be there tomorrow. And if it wasn't, it's not meant to be. I think that's about all I have. We're at time anyway. So should we open it for questions? Yeah, in the back.
Wait a minute. Oh, Jim.
Right, you're right. Did anything come on chat?
Okay.
The house across from my street has been renovated. Turn it off. Yeah. Not unidirectional. Okay. Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. The house across the street from me was renovated and is now for rent. I met a nice couple looking at it, but they were worried that it was $800 under market and the people who want to rent it are in Florida. Who should I talk to about that?
That would probably be a county issue or a local issue. Rentals. Now, if it were mortgage related, we could help you. But I mean, I don't think that's out of the ordinary, but you never know.
I recently had a phone call from Chase Credit Card that said there was somebody in New York State and they had all my information and stuff. I hung up. I called Chase Credit Card back, the number on my credit card, and they verified that that was true, that somebody was trying to open up a new account. So they froze everything, but from Chase, they transferred me to Experian. And so Experian had all my information. They told me everything. They didn't even ask me a question other than, so you came from, because somebody was trying to open up an account. Yes. And there was an education. They said because I was in their information, there would be no possibility of anybody opening up any credit in my name because they were the guard. And the couple other things that came out of that, one was they were telling me that for senior citizens, now I don't know how senior that is, that credit card interest rate was a maximum of 5%. Is that true?
I don't think so.
Well, this came from Experian.
Well, I can't wait to get older.
Well, most of us are of that age.
No, I have not heard that. On payday loans, there's a cap. But I mean, that's completely different. And for military on payday loans that are small dollar loans, that's different though. But no, I have not heard that.
Can you help me get rid of a terrible pest? I've been plagued now since last October with this email that's offering to complete my application for a $63,000 loan, or sometimes it's $40,000. It's always from an other area code. And when I've tried, like initially I got on and rather abruptly, said fuck off. But but you're talking to an algorithm
Right.
and it talks right over you.
Right.
And so I block every area code, every number, and then it's from another one. I mean, I got one an hour ago.
Right.
Is this going to go on for the rest of my life?
Yes. The problem is it's not a person and they're not phone numbers. It's a computer.
But
So
why
it's
are
just
they
they keep
doing
coming
it?
from which looks like different phone numbers. They'll always find a way to you because they're just hoping finally that one time when you don't tell them that, you know, they're going to get information out of you and it's going to be lucrative. So they're just hoping, but it just continues to call. Like I said, I get that consumer services for that loan. Like I give it to my 11-year-old and let her talk to them half the time. And go like, oh, well, how much do you owe? And I'll say like, just whatever you want, you know. She'll say like $200,000. Like, oh, sorry, we can only help you consolidate your loans if it's 80,000 or something like that. No, I have a sheet on how to reduce some unwanted phone calls. Please pick one up. But there's really nothing you can do. They can always get to you and they always will try.
They'll just keep up forever?
Yep.
It seems like counterproductive.
The best you can do is ignore them. And hopefully they'll go away.
And the second thing I wanted to ask you very briefly is DMV lost a check of mine in their system. Do you know, and nothing I could say, nothing I could show could convince them otherwise. And so they billed me double and I paid $500 or $600 when I should have paid $250. Is that something you would deal with?
Us, no, but because I worked in the governor's office in consumer affairs, I would go to the governor's website and basically they expedite claims over all state agencies and departments because he's technically above it all. And tell them what happened and they call it a goldenrod. And that just means it gets sent over to the executive office and they look into it a little bit faster.
The remote audience wants to see the credit bureau information. Can I back?
Oh,
back
yeah,
up
yeah.
here?
Yeah, sure. Oh, whoops, wrong way.
And there you go. Just leave that up.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
This is not a big problem, but it happened to me last night, so it's right at the top of my mind. We were watching YouTube, a soccer game that was recorded, and an ad, ads pop up all the time. It had a QR code. It was for mold removal gel. Said it's a fantastic product. If you act now, you'll get a discount. And so I thought, oh my God, I've been fighting mold in my bathrooms forever. I'm going to buy this. My husband goes, really? I said, yes, it's not that much. It was $15 a tube. I ordered 5 of them to give each of my daughters-in-law one. About 5 minutes later, when I put in all the information, it said transaction denied. I said, what? I went back and checked all my information. It was all right. I said, John, there's something wrong with this. You better go look at the account. 5 minutes later, MasterCard texted him and said, somebody's trying to use your MasterCard to buy tools. I was just flabbergasted. This was on YouTube. I would think that they would be a reliable. No.
No.
And I feel like I'm a pretty skeptical person to have gotten drawn into this. But the idea that I could get rid of bathroom mold just took away my suspicions.
I understand. Remember, these companies, fake or not, you pay YouTube or any type of other social media sites like that. You just pay. They don't care if you're legitimate or not. Or maybe they do, but they haven't figured it out yet. And so they allow ads on and they just do whatever they want. Like I said, when I was looking for things, I was talking to someone on the phone next to an Alexa is on, right? It's the only thing I can think of. And I said, gosh, I want this bag really bad, but it's so expensive. I don't know. Is it worth it? And now I just see ads for that particular bag all over my Instagram. And these accounts are fake. We had to open a new, it's called not Truth in Lending, but it's unfair and deceptive practices. So if anyone is selling something like that and they say, this bag is loved by 100% of people, we crack down and go in and say, who are the 100%? Show us. And the legislation just started, and it begins, I think, July 1st. It went in, but that's only for financial services. So, I mean, consumer services and maybe at the federal level, they need to do stuff like that too. It's just fake websites that look legitimate, and they just copy someone else, and you think, okay, this looks totally legitimate. So just stick to the bigger stores that you know. It's okay to buy online, but maybe go I bet Home Depot has it too, or Lowe's or whatever, if you don't want to give Amazon your money.
Hi.
Yeah.
My wife has been after me for a long time because I use the same password or the variation of it for basically everything. And she knows it's not my birthday and it's not but you could probably figure it out, kind of thing. And she recently sent me a video from a guy who says he has a foolproof method on how to create a password that you can use in multiple ways. I've got the video here in front of me, and he basically says to come up with some kind of nonsensical phrase.
Yeah.
His example is "My cat loves purple tacos," and he does an uppercase letter for each one of the words.
Right.
And he uses that over and over again. And if the password requires a special character, he says just use plus and then whatever it is, like Netflix, NFX, or plus Amazon AMZ or whatever. And he claims that this is a foolproof formula that the hackers can't get to because it has nothing to do with your personal information.
I think you're onto something. So instead of using your pet's name, definitely write a sentence with no spaces. We're required to do it by the state now because I guess, it must work a lot better.
Yeah.
So just write a phrase, and we had to change it every 3 months.
He stressed that make it a nonsensical phrase.
Yeah, something that doesn't make any sense.
Common, you might be able to get it.
Yeah, the other day, I'm not gonna lie, I had to change my password. I was in a bad mood, and I put, "I don't want to do this today." 1 exclamation. I hope IT can't see that. I changed it a couple of weeks later, but it wants you to write out a sentence that doesn't really make any sense or wouldn't make sense to somebody else. Yeah.
We've got a lot of people with questions, but Trent, a quick one.
Well, I was at Trader Joe's a couple of miles away from here about 2 months ago, and a guy approached me in the parking lot with a sob story of trying to raise money for the funeral of a child who was shot in a drive-by shooting or something like that, and he wanted $1, and he just wanted me to tap my card to his device. It would be only for $1. Well, I asked him if he had a website, and meanwhile, he was working on another family, and I think he realized that he wasn't getting anywhere with me, and sort of dropped me. But I asked him twice if he had a website, and he didn't answer that question. I still have my $1.
We regulate all those companies. So like Square, or anytime, someone comes out to ring you up at the table, like if you're at a restaurant, or, that's so convenient, huh? So, if you can always make a complaint to us, but good for you for recognizing that.
Hi. Now, how do you, if you want to get two-step verification on Amazon, for example, how can you get that? Because I don't have that on Amazon.
Google on your phone how to get two-step verification on Amazon, and it'll list it out. I honestly do it all the time, all day long.
We really are out of time, and I apologize, but I know Katie will hang out. But
a little bit, yeah.
The other thing is, please come up here and get some of the handouts that she's put out, because I think that answers several of your questions. And one more thing, some of you in this room have received emails from me. You thought that they were coming from me, and they weren't. And the emails were very, logical. Like, I really don't have time to go do this, but I need to go make a purchase. Can you buy a gift certificate at And fortunately, some people call me and I say, no, no, I would never do that. So if you ever get an email from me asking me to do anything that sounds like money's involved, pay no attention. The best way I've found to look at the email address that it's coming from, because there's usually some little thing that's different from my email address. But don't pay any attention to anything like that I send you.
Thank you.
So, a couple of things before you go. First of all, Katie, my gosh, this is so important. Thank you so much for being here.